The call came at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. I know because I was staring at my phone screen, watching the numbers glow in the dark when it started buzzing like an angry wasp. Layla. Oh God, Layla, you need to get here now. My name is Layla, and I've been the family emergency contact for as long as I can remember. Not because I'm the oldest. That's Reagan. Not because I'm the most successful. That would be Tyron, if you count charm as success. I'm the emergency contact because I'm the only one who actually answers the phone. Stacy? What's wrong? Mom's best friend was crying so hard I could barely make out the words. Your mother collapsed. We're at St. Mary's. The doctors. They said something about her heart. Surgery. Tonight. The world tilted. I was already pulling on jeans, grabbing my keys. How bad? Bad, honey. Real bad. I made it to the hospital in 12 minutes. Should have taken 20, but red lights don't matter when your mother might be dying. Stacy was pacing the waiting room, mascara streaked down her cheeks like war paint. Where is she? Surgery. Been in there 2 hours already. Stacy grabbed my hands. Layla, they need a decision on the procedure. It's experimental, but it's her only shot. Insurance won't cover it all. How much? 47,000. I didn't hesitate. Do it. Honey, that's... I said do it. I was already pulling out my phone, calling my bank's emergency line. My entire savings account. Gone. Just like that. But what else was I supposed to do? Let her die while we haggled over money? The surgery took 6 more hours. I called Reagan 4 times, Tyron 3. Reagan's phone went straight to voicemail, probably turned off for some yoga retreat or wine tasting. Tyron's girlfriend Kendra finally answered around noon. Oh, hey, Layla. Tyron's at a client lunch. Is everything okay? Mom's in emergency surgery. Oh no, is it serious? I wanted to scream. Instead I said, just have him call me. They showed up around 4 p.m. when Mom was already in recovery. Reagan swept in wearing designer sunglasses and a concerned expression that looked practiced in the mirror. How is she? We came as soon as we could. Tyron nodded along, checking his phone. Traffic was insane. You know how it is. She's stable. The surgery went well, but recovery will take months. Reagan pulled me aside, lowering her voice like she was sharing state secrets. Layla, you look exhausted. Maybe you should go home. Get some rest. We can handle things from here. Handle what? You just got here. I just think you might be overreacting a little. Mom's tough. She'll be fine. Overreacting. I'd been here for 14 hours, signed away my life savings, and held Mom's hand while she whispered about being scared to die. But sure, I was overreacting. Someone needs to stay with her tonight. The nurses can... I'm staying. Reagan exchanged a look with Tyron, the kind of look that said, there she goes again, being dramatic. They left around 6, promising to come back tomorrow. I pulled a chair next to Mom's bed and watched her breathe. The machines beeped steadily, a mechanical lullaby that should have been comforting, but just reminded me how close we'd come to losing her. Around midnight, she stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused and confused. Layla. I'm here, Mom. What happened? I explained everything gently. The collapse, the surgery, the recovery ahead. She squeezed my hand with surprising strength. You saved my life. The doctors saved your life. I just made sure they could. She was drifting back to sleep when my phone buzzed. A text message. I almost ignored it, but the preview made my blood freeze. It was from Tyron to Reagan. I could see it because we were all in a family group chat, but this message wasn't meant for the group. He'd sent it to the wrong thread. Reagan, you were right. Layla's totally monopolizing this whole thing. Classic attention-seeking behavior. Mom probably just had heartburn and Layla turned it into a medical emergency. We should probably stage an intervention about her drama addiction, LOL. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. My mother was lying in a hospital bed, tubes snaking from her arms, because her heart had literally stopped working. I'd emptied my bank account to save her life, and my siblings thought I was being dramatic. I screenshotted the message before Tyron realized his mistake and deleted it. Some mistakes you can't take back. Some words, once spoken, change everything. I was about to learn just how true that was. 3 weeks later, I was living at Mom's house. Not by choice, by necessity. She couldn't lift her arms above her shoulders, couldn't remember to take her medications, couldn't even shower without help. The woman who raised 3 kids was suddenly helpless as a newborn. I'd taken unpaid leave from my non-profit job. My boss wasn't thrilled, but what choice did I have? Reagan lived 40 minutes away and had work commitments. Tyron was launching some new business venture that required his full attention. So it was me. Always me. Layla, can you help me with this pill organizer? Mom called from the kitchen. I found her staring at 7 bottles of medication like they were written in hieroglyphics. Heart pills, blood thinners, pain management, anti-nausea. The pharmacy had given us a chart, but Mom's hands shook too much to open the child-proof caps. Here, let me. I sorted the pills into the weekly dispenser. Same routine we'd done every morning for 3 weeks. Remember, the blue ones are twice a day. I know, honey. I'm not senile, but... She was forgetting things. Little things at first, where she put her reading glasses, whether she'd eaten lunch. Then... bigger things. Yesterday, she'd asked me 3 times when Reagan was coming to visit. Reagan hadn't been by since the hospital. My phone buzzed. A text from Reagan. Family dinner Sunday at my place, 2 p.m. Bring Mom if she's feeling up to it. Reagan's invited us for dinner Sunday. Mom's face lit up. Oh, how wonderful! I haven't seen the kids in so long. The kids. Reagan was 34. Tyron was 30. But in Mom's mind, they were still her babies who could do no wrong. Sunday came. I helped Mom get dressed, did her hair, made sure she had her medications. She was excited, chattering about seeing everyone. I drove us to Reagan's pristine suburban house, the one she'd bought with her marketing executive salary. Reagan answered the door in a flowing sundress, looking like she'd stepped out of a lifestyle magazine. Mom, you look wonderful. She hugged Mom carefully, like she might break. Layla, thanks for bringing her. Tyron was already there with Kendra, his girlfriend of 2 years. Kendra gave me a genuine smile and a hug. She was one of the few people in this family who seemed to actually like me. How are you holding up? She whispered. I'm managing. Dinner was perfectly orchestrated. Reagan had made Mom's favorite, pot roast with all the fixings. The table was set with the good china. Everything looked normal, happy even. But I noticed things. How Reagan directed all her conversation toward Mom, barely acknowledging me. How Tyron kept checking his phone. How they asked Mom about her recovery, but never asked me about the daily reality of caring for her. So, Mom, Reagan said, cutting her meat into precise pieces, we've been thinking about your long-term care situation. What do you mean? Mom asked. Well, you can't live alone anymore, and Layla can't put her whole life on hold indefinitely. I set down my fork. Excuse me? I'm just saying, we need to think practically about what's best for everyone. What's best for everyone is Mom getting the care she needs, of course, but there are professional options, assisted living facilities with trained staff. Mom looked confused, glancing between us. I don't want to go to a home. It's not a home, Mom. It's independent living with support services. I want to stay in my house. Reagan's smile never wavered. We all want that, but we have to be realistic about what's sustainable. Sustainable for who? I asked. For you, Layla. You're burning yourself out. It's not healthy. Tyron finally looked up from his phone. Reagan's right. You've been pretty intense about this whole thing. There was that word again. Intense. Someone has to be intense. Someone has to actually take care of her. We're all taking care of her, Reagan said smoothly. Just in different ways. What ways? When was the last time either of you even called her? Layla, Mom said quietly. Don't start a fight. I'm not starting anything. I'm just asking when they last. You're being dramatic again, Tyron said. We're here now, aren't we? Dramatic, intense, overreacting. They're favorite words for me. The rest of dinner passed in strained politeness. Reagan talked about work. Tyron shared stories about his new business. Mom smiled and nodded, happy to have her whole family together. As we were leaving, Reagan pulled me aside. Layla, I know this is hard, but you need to think about your own future too. My future is fine. Is it? You've used up all your savings, taken unpaid leave. What happens when Mom needs more care than you can provide? We'll figure it out. Will we? Or will you just expect us to pick up the pieces when you finally burn out? I stared at her. Pick up the pieces? You haven't picked up anything. That's not fair. Isn't it? She sighed like I was a difficult child. Just think about what I said, okay? I drove Mom home in silence. She dozed in the passenger seat, exhausted from the social effort. When we got to her house, I helped her inside and settled her in her recliner. That was nice, she said. It's good when we're all together. Yeah, really nice. My phone buzzed as I was getting Mom's evening medications ready. A text from Tyron to Reagan. Again, sent to the wrong thread. She's totally lost it. Did you see how defensive she got? We need to do something before she completely takes over Mom's life. I screenshotted that one too. Some patterns, once you see them, you can't unsee. 2 days later, I was sitting in Beau's law office, staring at a stack of papers I'd forgotten I even had. My ex-boyfriend-turned-lawyer had always been good at keeping records, even when we were dating, especially the important ones. You're sure these are legally binding? I asked. Beau adjusted his glasses and flipped through the documents. Completely. Medical power of attorney, financial guardianship, healthcare proxy, all signed, witnessed, and notarized the night of her surgery. I filed them with the hospital and the county clerk the next morning. But Reagan said she has power of attorney. She might have something, but it doesn't override this. These were signed first, when your mother was of sound mind, before any medical procedures. Whatever Reagan has would be secondary at best. I remembered that night clearly now. Mom had been groggy but alert after they moved her from recovery. Beau had shown up with the paperwork, explaining it was just precautionary, in case decisions needed to be made quickly. Smart thinking, he'd said then. Medical emergencies move fast. Better to have everything in order. I'd been so focused on Mom's recovery that I'd completely forgotten about the legal side. But Beau hadn't. "The question is," he said now, "what do you want to do with this information?" "I don't know yet." "Well, you should know that someone tried to access your mother's medical records yesterday. The hospital called me when they were denied." My stomach dropped. "Who?" "Reagan. She claimed to have power of attorney and wanted to schedule some kind of neurological assessment." "A what?" "Cognitive evaluation, usually ordered when there are concerns about someone's mental capacity." The pieces clicked together like a puzzle I didn't want to solve. "She's trying to prove Mom's not competent." "That would be my guess. If she could establish diminished capacity, she might be able to challenge your guardianship." "Can she do that?" "She can try, but these documents are solid, and your mother was clearly competent when she signed them. Plus, you have 3 weeks of medical records showing consistent, appropriate care decisions." I stared out his office window at the parking lot below. A normal Tuesday afternoon, people going about their normal lives while mine was quietly exploding. "Beau, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest." "Shoot!" "If I wanted to, let's say, make things difficult for Reagan and Tyron, what could I do?" He leaned back in his chair. "Legally, you have complete authority over your mother's care and finances. You could restrict their access, make all medical decisions, control visitation if you deemed it necessary for her well-being." "And they couldn't stop me? Not without a court order. And to get that, they'd have to prove you're acting against your mother's best interests. Given that you've been her primary caregiver for weeks, that would be a tough sell." I nodded slowly. "I need copies of everything." "Layla, what are you thinking?" "I'm thinking my siblings have been playing games they don't know I can win." He printed out copies of all the documents, organized them in a neat folder. "Be careful. Family law can get ugly fast. It's already ugly." That evening, I was helping Mom with her physical therapy exercises when her phone rang. She struggled to reach it, so I answered. "Hello." "Layla, it's Reagan. Can I talk to Mom?" "She's doing her exercises right now." "It'll just take a minute." I handed Mom the phone and continued guiding her through her arm stretches, but I could hear Reagan's voice clearly through the speaker. "Mom, I wanted to let you know I've arranged for a doctor to come see you tomorrow. Just a routine checkup." Mom looked confused. "But I just saw Dr. Martinez yesterday." "This is a different kind of doctor, a specialist, to make sure your mind is staying sharp after the surgery." "My mind is fine." "Of course it is. This is just precautionary. Layla doesn't need to be there. I can handle it." I took the phone. "What kind of specialist?" "A neurologist. Just standard follow-up care. Mom doesn't need a neurologist. Her cardiologist cleared her cognitive function weeks ago." "Layla, this isn't your decision to make." "Actually, it is." Silence on the other end. Then, "What do you mean?" "I mean all of Mom's medical decisions go through me. I have legal guardianship." "That's not—" "We have power of attorney." "You have what, exactly?" Another pause. "We'll discuss this later." She hung up. Mom looked at me with worried eyes. "What's happening?" "Nothing you need to worry about. Just some paperwork confusion." But it wasn't confusion. It was war. And they'd just fired the first shot. My phone buzzed 20 minutes later. A text from Tyron. "Emergency family meeting tomorrow night. Mom's house, 7 p.m. I texted back. "Can't do 7. Mom has her evening routine." This is important. So is her medication schedule. Layla, stop being difficult. I turned off my phone and helped Mom get ready for bed. Tomorrow was going to be interesting. Some battles you see coming from miles away. Others sneak up on you in the quiet moments when you're just trying to take care of the people you love. This one had been building for weeks. I was finally ready to fight it. They showed up at Mom's house like a delegation. Reagan carried a leather portfolio, Tyron had his laptop, and even Kendra was there, looking uncomfortable in the corner. Mom sat in her recliner, confused about why everyone seemed so serious. So, Reagan began, settling into the couch like she was chairing a board meeting. We need to address this guardianship situation. What situation? Mom asked. The hospital says Layla has legal authority over your medical care. We were under the impression that we had power of attorney. I was folding Mom's laundry, keeping my hands busy. You were under the wrong impression. Reagan opened her portfolio and pulled out a document. Actually, we have this. She handed it to Mom. You signed it 3 weeks ago at the rehabilitation center, remember? Mom squinted at the paper. Maybe? I was so tired then. You were recovering from major surgery, I said, barely conscious half the time. She was conscious enough to sign, Tyron said, finally looking up from his laptop. We have witnesses. Who? The orderly you probably tipped $20? Reagan's smile was razor sharp. The facility social worker and a nurse, both trained to assess cognitive capacity. I stopped folding. Funny thing about cognitive capacity, the hospital has records showing Mom was on heavy pain medication that entire week. Opioids affect decision-making ability. That's not... Also funny how you waited until I wasn't there to get it signed. We didn't plan it that way, Tyron said. It just worked out. Right. Just like it worked out that you tried to schedule a neurological evaluation without telling me. Reagan's composure cracked slightly. That was legitimate medical care. No, that was you trying to prove Mom's incompetent so you could override my guardianship. Mom looked between us, her face pale. What's happening? Why are you all fighting? We're not fighting, Mom, Reagan said gently. We're just trying to figure out what's best for your care. I pulled the folder from my purse and set it on the coffee table. Here's what's best. Legal guardianship, filed the night of Mom's surgery, when she was alert, before any medications, with proper witnesses. Reagan grabbed the documents, scanning them quickly. Her face went white. This can't be right. Bo filed them with the hospital and county clerk. They supersede anything you got signed later. Bo, your ex-boyfriend? Bo the lawyer, who actually knows what he's doing. Tyron leaned forward. Layla, this is insane. You can't just take over Mom's life. I'm not taking over anything. I'm taking care of her, like I have been for a month while you two were busy with your work commitments. That's not fair, Reagan said. We've been supportive. Supportive? When? When you showed up 4 hours late to the hospital? When you suggested putting her in a home? When you tried to have her declared mentally incompetent? We never... The neurological evaluation, Reagan. What was that for? She was quiet for a long moment. Then, we were concerned about her memory issues. What memory issues? She's been confused lately, forgetting things. She's recovering from major surgery. Of course, she's tired and forgetful. It's more than that, Tyron said. Last week she called me 3 times asking the same question. I looked at Mom, who was staring at her hands. What question? She wanted to know when you were coming home. I told her you were living here now, but she kept forgetting. My chest tightened. Mom? I get confused sometimes, she said quietly. About what day it is, or whether I took my pills. But I'm not losing my mind. Of course you're not, I said. You're healing. Reagan stood up, pacing to the window. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're not seeing the bigger picture, Layla. What happens when she needs more care than you can provide? We'll figure it out. How? You've already used up your savings. You're not working. What's your long-term plan? My plan is to take care of our mother. That's not a plan. That's martyrdom. The word hit like a slap. Excuse me? You heard me. You're so busy being the hero that you can't see you're in over your head. I stood up slowly. Get out. Layla, get out of my mother's house. It's not your house, Tyron said. It's Mom's. And I'm her legal guardian, which means I decide who's welcome here. Reagan gathered her papers. Fine, but this isn't over. Actually, it is. You want to challenge my guardianship? Go ahead. Take it to court. Explain to a judge why you tried to manipulate a post-surgical patient into signing documents while she was on pain medication. We were protecting her interests. You were protecting your own interests. There's a difference. They filed out without saying goodbye to Mom. Kendra lingered at the door. For what it's worth, she said quietly, I think you're doing the right thing. After they left, Mom and I sat in silence. The house felt hollow, like something had been broken that couldn't be fixed. Did I do something wrong? Mom asked. No, you didn't do anything wrong. Then why are they so angry? I looked at her, really looked at her, frail, confused, dependent on me for everything from medications to meals. But still, my mother. Still the woman who'd raised us, loved us, sacrificed for us. Because they wanted control, and they don't have it. Do you want control? The question caught me off guard. I want you to be safe and cared for. That's not the same thing. No, it wasn't. But it was all I had. The next few weeks felt like living in a house made of glass. Every conversation with Mom was careful, measured. She'd started asking strange questions. Layla, did you really spend all your money on my surgery? Don't worry about that, Mom. But Reagan said you might resent me for it later. I looked up from sorting her medications. When did Reagan say that? Yesterday. Or maybe it was Tuesday. She called while you were at the grocery store. Reagan had been calling. A lot. Always when I wasn't around. Always asking Mom how she was feeling, if she needed anything, if I was taking good care of her. What else did Reagan say? Mom's face scrunched up, trying to remember. She said you've been under a lot of stress, that maybe I should consider other options for care. What kind of options? I don't remember exactly. Something about professional help. I finished organizing the pill dispenser, my hands steady even though my heart was racing. Mom, do you want professional help? I want to get better. I want to stop being such a burden. You're not a burden. Reagan says. I don't care what Reagan says. The sharpness in my voice made Mom flinch. I immediately felt guilty. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to snap. Reagan doesn't live here. She doesn't see how much progress you're making. But was she making progress? Some days were good. Mom would remember to take her morning pills, could shower with minimal help. Other days she'd ask me the same question 5 times, or forget we'd already eaten lunch. Thursday afternoon, Stacy knocked on the door. Mom's best friend had been coming by regularly, bringing groceries and gossip from the neighborhood. "How's our patient today?" she asked, settling into the kitchen chair with a cup of coffee. "Good days and bad days," I said. "That's normal after what she's been through. My sister had heart surgery 2 years ago. Took her 6 months to feel like herself again." Mom shuffled into the kitchen in her slippers. "Stacy, I didn't know you were coming." "I called this morning, remember? Said I'd bring those magazines you like." Mom looked confused. "You did." Stacy and I exchanged glances. "It's okay," Stacy said gently. "I brought them anyway." After Mom went to take her afternoon nap, Stacy pulled me aside. "Layla, I need to tell you something. Reagan came by yesterday." "Here?" "No, my house. Said she was worried about your mother's memory issues. Asked if I'd noticed anything concerning." My stomach dropped. "What did you tell her?" "The truth. That Yolanda seems tired and forgetful, but nothing unusual for someone recovering from major surgery." Stacy paused. "But there's something else. She asked about your mother's finances." "What about them?" "Whether she was still managing her own bills, making financial decisions. Reagan seemed very interested in who had access to the bank accounts." "Did you tell her anything?" "I told her it wasn't my business. But Layla, she was taking notes." That evening, I called Bo. "They're building a case," he said after I explained. "Trying to establish a pattern of cognitive decline." "But Mom's fine. She's just recovering." "I believe you. But if they can get enough people to say she's confused, forgetful, making poor decisions, they could challenge the guardianship." "Exactly. Have you noticed any unusual financial activity? Missing money? Unpaid bills?" I pulled out Mom's checkbook and bank statements. Everything looked normal at first glance. Then I saw it. A monthly automatic withdrawal I didn't recognize. "There's something here. $500 a month to RC Consulting." "When did that start?" I flipped through older statements. "About 8 months ago. What's RC Consulting?" "I'll look into it. In the meantime, you might want to check if there are any other accounts or financial arrangements you don't know about." The next morning, I went through Mom's desk while she was at physical therapy. In the bottom drawer, I found a folder labeled Financial Planning. Inside were documents I'd never seen, investment accounts, a second checking account, and a contract with RC Consulting. Reagan's signature was on everything. The contract was for financial management services. Reagan had been taking $500 a month to oversee Mom's retirement planning. But there was no evidence of any actual planning, just monthly withdrawals. I photographed everything and called Bo immediately. "This is elder financial abuse," he said after I sent him the photos. "Reagan's been siphoning money from your mother under the guise of financial planning." "For 8 months, $4,000 so far. And look at the signature date on your mother's authorization. It's from right after her diagnosis, when she was scared about her health." "She took advantage of Mom being scared." "That's exactly what she did. The question is, what do you want to do about it?" I was still processing when Mom came home from therapy, exhausted and shaky. "How was it?" I asked. "Hard, but the therapist says I'm improving." She sat down heavily in her recliner. "Layla, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Do you think I'm losing my mind?" The question broke my heart. "Why would you ask that?" "Reagan keeps asking if I remember things. Yesterday she wanted to know if I remembered signing some papers about money. I told her I didn't, and she looked so worried. What papers? I don't know. She said it was important, but I couldn't remember. Mom's eyes filled with tears. What if something's really wrong with me? I knelt beside her chair and took her hands. Mom, there's nothing wrong with your mind. You're healing from a major surgery. It's normal to be tired and forgetful. But Reagan said, Reagan's been lying to you. The words came out harder than I intended. Mom stared at me in shock. What do you mean? I showed her the financial documents. She's been taking money from your account. $500 every month for financial planning that never happened. Mom studied the papers, her hands trembling. I don't understand. She convinced you to sign these when you were scared about your health. Then she used them to steal from you. That can't be right. Reagan wouldn't. Reagan would, and she has been. Mom was quiet for a long time, staring at the documents. When she finally looked up, her eyes were different, clearer. What do we do? For the first time in weeks, she'd said, we. We fight back. I spent the weekend building a case like I was preparing for war. Bank statements, medical records, phone logs, everything organized in neat folders on Mom's dining room table. Bo had walked me through what we'd need to file a formal complaint. Elder financial abuse is a felony, he'd explained, but you'll need solid documentation. I had it. $4,000 in unauthorized withdrawals, contracts signed under duress, and a pattern of manipulation that went back months. Monday morning, I was reviewing everything one more time when Mom's landline rang. I'll get it, Mom said, reaching for the phone. Actually, let me. I'd been screening her calls all weekend. Layla, it's Reagan. I need to speak with Mom. She's resting. It's important. There's been a development with her care situation. What kind of development? I'd rather discuss it with her directly. Well, I'd rather you discuss it with me, since I'm her legal guardian. A pause. Fine. I've arranged for a care assessment. A social worker is coming Thursday to evaluate Mom's living situation. My blood went cold. You did what? It's standard procedure when there are concerns about an elderly person's welfare. What concerns? Neighbors have reported seeing Mom wandering outside in her nightgown. Stacy mentioned she seems confused and forgetful. There are questions about whether she's receiving adequate care. That's complete bullshit, and you know it. Language, Layla. This is about Mom's safety. This is about you trying to get control back. The social worker will make that determination, Thursday at 2 p.m. She hung up. I immediately called Bo. Can she do this? Anyone can request a welfare check. But if the social worker finds no evidence of neglect or abuse, it goes nowhere. And if they do find something, then we have a problem. I spent the next 3 days preparing. The house was spotless, Mom's medications perfectly organized, her medical records up to date. I coached Mom on what to expect. Just be yourself, I told her. Answer their questions honestly. What if I forget something? Then you forget something. That's normal. But I was terrified. What if Mom had one of her confused days? What if she couldn't remember taking her medications or got flustered and said something that sounded concerning? Thursday arrived grey and drizzling. The social worker, Ms. Patterson, showed up exactly at 2 p.m., a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a clipboard. I'm here to do a routine wellness check, she explained. Just want to make sure everyone's doing okay. She interviewed Mom first, asking about her daily routine, her medications, how she was feeling. Mom did well, answering clearly and calmly. And how would you describe your relationship with your daughter, Layla? She's been wonderful. I don't know what I would have done without her. Do you feel safe in her care? Of course. She takes such good care of me. Then Ms. Patterson wanted to speak with me, privately. Your mother seems well cared for, she said. The house is clean, her medications are properly managed, and she appears to be in good spirits. Relief flooded through me. So, we're okay? Well, there is one concern. I received some troubling information about financial irregularities. My stomach dropped. What kind of irregularities? Allegations that you've been mismanaging your mother's finances, large unauthorized withdrawals, unpaid bills. That's not true. I'm required to investigate any financial abuse allegations. Do you have access to your mother's bank accounts? Yes, but... And have you made any large withdrawals recently? Only for medical expenses and household needs. She made notes on her clipboard. I'll need to see financial records going back 6 months. I brought out the folders I'd prepared, including the RC consulting documents. Actually, I think you should see this. Ms. Patterson reviewed everything carefully. Her expression grew more serious as she read. These show regular unauthorized withdrawals by someone named Reagan. Is that a family member? My sister. She's been taking $500 a month under the pretense of financial planning. Does your mother know about this? She does now. Reagan convinced her to sign the authorization when Mom was scared about her health diagnosis. Ms. Patterson made more notes. This is concerning. Have you reported this to the authorities? I was planning to file a complaint this week. I'd recommend doing that immediately. This appears to be a clear case of elder financial abuse. She closed her folder. As for the welfare check, I see no evidence of neglect or inadequate care. Your mother is fortunate to have such a dedicated caregiver. After she left, I called Bo immediately. She's filing a report recommending no action on the welfare complaint, I told him, but she wants us to pursue the financial abuse case. Good. I'll start the paperwork today. Bo, there's something else. Reagan somehow knew about the social worker visit before I did. She's the one who requested it. That's not unusual. Family members often... No, you don't understand. She knew exactly what questions would be asked, what concerns would be raised, like she'd done this before. A long pause. What are you thinking? I'm thinking Reagan's been planning this for a lot longer than we realized. That evening, Mom was unusually quiet during dinner. Finally, she spoke. Layla, I need to tell you something. What is it? Reagan came by yesterday while you were at the pharmacy. My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. She... what? She said she was worried about the social worker visit, that they might try to separate us. What else did she say? Mom's hands were shaking. She said, if I really loved you, I'd go to a care facility voluntarily, so you could get your life back. And what did you tell her? I told her I wanted to stay with you, that you were taking good care of me. Mom looked up with tears in her eyes. But she said you were just being nice, that deep down you resented having to take care of me. Mom, that's not true. She said you'd never tell me because you're too kind, but that I was ruining your life. I reached across the table and took her hands. Look at me. You are not ruining my life. Taking care of you is not a burden. It's what family does. But your job, your savings, can be replaced. You can't. Mom started crying then, and I moved around the table to hug her. Over her shoulder, I saw my phone lighting up with text messages. 3 missed calls from Reagan, 2 from Tyron. The war was escalating. Friday morning, my phone rang at 6 a.m. Tyron's name flashed on the screen. "Layla, I need your help." His voice was shaky, desperate. I sat up in bed, instantly alert. "What's wrong?" "I lost my job. The startup folded. I'm completely screwed." "I'm sorry, but I know we haven't been getting along, but you're family. I need to borrow some money, just until I get back on my feet." I almost laughed. "Tyron, I don't have any money. Remember, I spent it all on Mom's surgery while you were at client lunches. Come on, you must have something. A credit card, savings account." "I have $17 in checking and maxed out credit cards." "What about Mom's accounts? You have access now, right?" There it was, the real reason for the call. "Are you seriously asking me to steal from our mother?" "It's not stealing if it's for family. Mom would want to help. Like she wanted to help when Reagan was taking $500 a month." Silence. Then, "What are you talking about? RC Consulting. Reagan's been siphoning money from Mom for 8 months. That's not possible." "I have the bank statements, the contracts, all with Reagan's signature." Another long pause. "Layla, you don't understand. Reagan was trying to protect Mom's assets." "By stealing them?" "By managing them properly. Mom was making bad financial decisions after her diagnosis. Reagan stepped in to help. Help herself to $4,000. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Tyron?" Look, I can't get into this right now. I need money. Can you help me or not?" "No." "Fine, but don't expect me to back you up when Reagan takes this to court." He hung up. An hour later, Kendra knocked on the door. She looked exhausted, her usual put-together appearance replaced by wrinkled clothes and no makeup. "Can we talk?" she asked. I let her in, making coffee while she sat at the kitchen table. Mom was still sleeping upstairs. "Tyron told me about the phone call," she said. "I'm sure he did." "Layla, there's something you need to know about Reagan and the money." I set down her coffee cup. "I'm listening." "Tyron's known about the RC Consulting thing for months. He's been getting a cut." My blood went cold. "What?" $200 a month. Reagan told him it was for family coordination services, helping manage your mom's care from a distance. "He's been stealing, too." "Not exactly. He genuinely thought it was legitimate. Reagan showed him documents, explained how it was all legal and above board." "But you didn't believe it." Kendra shook her head. "I work in accounting. I know what elder financial abuse looks like. But Tyron wouldn't listen. He said Reagan knew what she was doing." "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because Reagan's planning something big. She came by last night after Tyron called you. They had a huge fight." "About what?" "About you. Reagan's furious that the social worker didn't find anything wrong. She's convinced you somehow manipulated the situation." "How could I manipulate a professional assessment?" "That's what Tyron asked. Reagan said you're smarter than they gave you credit for, that you've been playing some kind of long game." I almost laughed. "The only game I've been playing is keeping our mother alive and healthy. I know that. But Reagan doesn't see it that way. She thinks you orchestrated this whole thing, the guardianship, the financial evidence, everything, to cut them out and take control of your mom's assets." "What assets? Mom's retirement savings? Her social security? Reagan seems to think there's more. Life insurance policies, property investments. She's been going through your mom's papers. When? Yesterday, while you were at the grocery store. She has a key. My hands clenched around my coffee cup. She's been in this house? Multiple times, looking for financial documents, legal papers, anything she can use. That's breaking and entering. Not if she has permission from the homeowner. She doesn't have permission from me, and I'm the legal guardian. Try proving that in court. Reagan's smart, Layla. She's been building a case that you're the one manipulating your mom. The sudden guardianship, the financial control, isolating her from family. I'm not isolating anyone. They're the ones who stopped visiting. I know. But Reagan's spinning it differently. She's telling people you won't let them see their mother. I felt the walls closing in. What else did she say? She's planning to file for emergency guardianship. Claims your mom is being held against her will by someone with financial motives. That's insane, is it? Think about it from an outside perspective. You suddenly have complete control over a vulnerable elderly woman's life and finances. Your siblings are cut out entirely. It could look suspicious. But I have documentation. The original guardianship papers, the evidence of Reagan's theft. Reagan's claiming those documents were forged, that you manipulated your mom into signing them when she was medicated and confused. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Emergency guardianship hearing scheduled for Monday 9 a.m. County Courthouse. You are required to appear with the ward. I showed Kendra the message. It's starting, she said quietly. Kendra, why are you helping me? Tyron's your boyfriend. Because I've watched you take care of your mom for 2 months. I've seen how much you love her, how hard you work to make her comfortable and happy. And I've watched Reagan and Tyron treat this whole thing like a business transaction. She stood up, gathering her purse. There's one more thing. Reagan hired a lawyer, someone who specializes in elder abuse cases. To prosecute her own case? No, to prosecute yours. After Kendra left, I sat in the quiet kitchen, staring at my phone. Monday was 3 days away. 3 days to prepare for a fight that could determine everything. Upstairs, Mom called for help with her morning medications. I climbed the stairs slowly, each step feeling heavier than the last. Good morning, she said brightly. Did I hear voices downstairs? Just Kendra stopping by. That's nice. She's such a sweet girl. Mom paused, studying my face. You look worried. Is everything okay? I looked at this woman who'd raised me, loved me, trusted me with her life. In 3 days, I might lose the right to protect her. Everything's fine, Mom. Let's get your pills sorted out. Some battles you fight for principle, others you fight for survival. This one was both. Monday morning arrived like a funeral. I helped Mom into her best dress, the navy blue one she'd worn to my college graduation. Her hands shook as I fastened her pearl necklace. I don't understand why we have to go to court, she said for the 3rd time. It's just a formality, to make sure you're being taken care of properly. But you are taking care of me properly? I know. We just have to prove it to a judge. The courthouse was intimidating. Marble floors, high ceilings, the kind of place that made you feel small. Beau met us at the entrance, carrying a briefcase that looked like it weighed 50 pounds. How are we looking? I asked. Good. I've got everything organized. Bank records, medical files, witness statements. Witness statements? Stacy, your mom's physical therapist, even the social worker who did the wellness check. They're all willing to testify about the quality of care you've been providing. We found seats in the courtroom. Across the aisle, Reagan sat with a man in an expensive suit. Her lawyer, I assumed. She looked polished and professional in a charcoal business suit. Tyron sat behind her, avoiding eye contact. The judge was younger than I'd expected, maybe mid-40s, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "This is a petition for emergency guardianship," she began, "filed by Reagan Bennett on behalf of her mother, Yolanda Bennett. The petitioner claims the current guardian is acting against the ward's best interests." Reagan's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, we have evidence that Ms. Layla Bennett has isolated the ward from her family, made questionable financial decisions, and may have obtained guardianship through fraudulent means." "That's a serious allegation. What evidence do you have?" "The guardianship documents were signed during a medical emergency when the ward was heavily medicated and not of sound mind. Ms. Layla Bennett has since used this authority to cut off the ward's other children from participating in her care." Bo stood up. "Your Honor, we have extensive documentation showing that the guardianship was properly obtained and that Ms. Layla Bennett has provided exemplary care for her mother. I'd like to hear from the ward herself," the judge said. "Mrs. Bennett, how do you feel about your current living situation?" Mom looked tiny in the witness chair, but her voice was steady. "I'm very happy living with Layla. She takes wonderful care of me." "Do you feel isolated from your other children?" "No, Your Honor. They're welcome to visit any time. They just choose not to." Reagan's lawyer tried a different approach. "Mrs. Bennett, are you aware that your daughter Layla spent her entire life savings on your medical care?" "Yes." "Do you think that might create resentment or pressure you to feel grateful?" Mom's back straightened. "Layla saved my life. If that creates pressure, it's the pressure to get better so I can be worthy of her sacrifice." "But don't you think your other children might be better equipped to handle your long-term care needs?" "No, I don't." The lawyer looked frustrated. "Mrs. Bennett, are you aware that there have been irregularities in your financial accounts?" "Yes. My daughter Reagan has been stealing from me." The courtroom went dead silent. Reagan's face went white. "I'm sorry. What did you say?" the judge asked. "Reagan convinced me to sign papers when I was scared about my heart condition. She said it was for financial planning, but she was just taking my money. $500 every month." Bo stood up. "Your Honor, we have documentation of this financial abuse." He handed over the bank statements and contracts. Reagan's lawyer was scrambling. "Your Honor, my client was providing legitimate financial services." "What services?" the judge asked, studying the documents. "I see withdrawals, but no evidence of any actual financial planning or investment management." "We can provide—" "Your Honor," Bo interrupted. "We also have evidence that the petitioner attempted to have the ward declared mentally incompetent through fraudulent means, including coaching her on what to say to medical professionals." He played a recording from Mom's security system. Reagan's voice was clear. "Mom, when the doctor asks about your memory, tell him you've been confused lately. It's important for your care." The judge's expression hardened. "Ms. Reagan Bennett, please stand." Reagan stood shakily. "Based on the evidence presented, it appears you have engaged in elder financial abuse and attempted to manipulate medical assessments. I'm dismissing your petition for guardianship and referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for potential criminal charges." "Your Honor, please." "Furthermore, I'm issuing a restraining order. You are not to contact the ward or enter her residence without supervision." Reagan's lawyer was packing up his briefcase. "We'll appeal this decision." "You're welcome to try, but I suggest you focus on preparing for the criminal investigation. Outside the courthouse, Tyron approached us hesitantly. Layla, I'm sorry. I didn't know how bad it was. Yes, you did. You just didn't care as long as you were getting paid. I know I screwed up. Is there any way we can— No, there isn't. He walked away without another word. Mom took my arm as we headed to the car. I'm proud of you, she said. For what? For fighting for me, for not giving up when it got hard. You're my mother. Of course I fought for you. Not everyone would have. She was right. Not everyone would have, but I wasn't everyone. I was her daughter, and that meant something. Stacy was waiting at the house with a casserole and a bottle of wine. How did it go? We won, Mom said simply. More than won, I added. Reagan's facing criminal charges. Good. It's about time someone held her accountable. That evening, Mom and I sat on the porch watching the sunset. She was stronger now, more like herself. The confusion was mostly gone, replaced by a quiet determination to get better. Do you regret it? She asked suddenly. Regret what? Everything. The money, the job, taking care of me instead of living your own life. I thought about it honestly. My savings were gone, my career on hold, my relationship with my siblings destroyed. But looking at Mom, healthy and safe and home where she belonged, I knew my answer. No, I don't regret it, but I'll never call it justice either. Just necessary. Mom nodded, understanding. Some things you do because they're right. Others you do because you're the only one who will. The difference matters less than you'd think.